By the time POW Legacy reaches full momentum, it will be clear that this series was never meant to be safe or predictable. Every alliance formed will come with a hidden cost, and every victory will push Tommy and Tariq deeper into a war they cannot walk away from. New York's most powerful crime lords will not sit back and watch their territory get threatened. And once they realize that this is not just another crew but a calculated takeover, the response will be brutal and organized. These enemies will not make loud moves. They will strike quietly, cutting supply lines, turning allies, and forcing impossible choices. POW Legacy will be about pressure, constant, suffocating pressure that tests loyalty, patience, and sanity. Characters will be forced to choose between survival and honor, between family and power, and those choices will decide who lives and who dies. Death will no longer be shocking, it will be expected, and the most painful losses will come without warning. What makes this chapter bigger than force is not just the scale, it is the emotional weight. Tommy will be fighting for a future he never thought he could have, while Tariq will be fighting to prove that he is not just his father's son, but something greater and more dangerous. And as the city burns quietly around them, one truth will become impossible to ignore. In the POW universe, power is never inherited, it is taken. And New York is about to learn that the hard way. POW Legacy will not be built only on new threats, because the past is following everyone into New York, and some faces are almost impossible to leave behind. One of the most likely returns is DMAC, a character who changed completely during the events of FOSS and proved that he is no longer a reckless kid, but a weapon shaped by war. His loyalty to Tommy is solid, and his growth into a fearless enforcer makes him a perfect fit for the chaos waiting in New York. What makes DMAC even more dangerous is his natural chemistry with Tariq, because together they represent the next evolution of power, a generation that is faster, colder, and far less emotional. But growth in the POW universe always comes with risk, and the more involved DMAC becomes, the closer he gets to becoming a target. Another likely return is Mariah, whose departure during the Chicago War was about survival, not abandonment. Her promise to return once the fighting was over suggests that POW Legacy could explore a rare side of Tommy, a man trying to protect something real in a world that destroys everything it touches. But in power, love is never safe, and my presence could easily become a vulnerability that enemies are willing to exploit. Kate's return to New York also opens the door to emotional pressure, because she represents both Tommy's roots and his biggest distractions. If enemies want to hurt Tommy without confronting him directly, they will not hesitate to go after the people closest to him. At the same time, unresolved threats are also moving toward New York. Jenard and Vic are not men who know how to let go of failure, and desperation makes people unpredictable. Their obsession with revenge could push them into making reckless moves, and in a city like New York, reckless actions attract attention fast. Whether they succeed or not is uncertain, but their presence alone adds another layer of danger to an already unstable situation. And then there is the question everyone is afraid to ask: who will not survive POW Legacy? In this series, no one is safe, because returning characters carry history, and history comes with enemies. POW Legacy will force every character to choose between survival and loyalty, and those choices will decide who lives, who dies, and who becomes a warning to everyone else. POW Legacy is not just another spin-off. It is the moment the entire POW universe has been building toward, because everything we thought we knew about control, survival, and power is about to be tested in New York like never before. And this time, the stakes are higher, the enemies are smarter, and the consequences are deadly. POW Legacy will not waste a single second easing us into this story, because this series is expected to start directly where POW Book 4 Force ended, and that alone already makes it more intense than anything we have seen before. The Force finale completely reshaped the balance of power, and by the end of it, Tommy Egan did the impossible by conquering Chicago through strategy, violence, and ruthless decision. CBI turning their backs on Jenard, Shanti rising as the new leader, King Kilo's men aligning with Tommy, and Ortega being handed over to die were not random events. They were the final proof that Tommy has evolved into something far more dangerous than before. But the most important moment of the finale was not about Chicago at all. It was about New York. Because the second Tariq answered Tommy's call, everything changed. That phone call symbolized the rebirth of a partnership that once shook the streets, and now that partnership is about to return to the city where it all began. Power Legacy will show us what happens when Tommy's experience and film collide with Tariq's intelligence and calculated ambition. New York is not Chicago. It is bigger, dirtier, and filled with enemies who do not hesitate. And that is exactly why this series has the potential to be bigger than Fourth. Tommy is coming back to the streets that shaped him, but this time he is not alone. And he is not running from his past anymore. He is embracing it. Tariq, on the other hand, is stepping into the most dangerous phase of his life. Because working with Tommy means fast power, but it also means fast death. The streets of New York already belong to powerful crime lords, old crews, and silent kings who have survived for years, and Power Legacy will be about what happens when two forces enter that ecosystem and flip it upside down. This is not a rebuild story, this is a takeover story, and the reason it will be bigger than Force is because there is no learning curve anymore. Both Tommy and Tariq know exactly who they are, what they want, and how far they are willing to go. Power Legacy is setting up a war that will not be limited to one crew or one enemy. It will be a citywide battle where loyalty is rare, survival is temporary, and every decision creates a new target. And that is only the beginning. New York and Power Legacy will not be the same city we remember, because time has passed, power has shifted, and the streets have grown far more dangerous than before. This is no longer a place where one crew can rise quietly, because every block is already being watched, controlled, and defended by people who have survived long enough to learn from past mistakes. When Tommy and Tariq step into this world, they will not be welcomed as legends, they will be seen as threats. That is exactly what makes their alliance so deadly. Tommy brings raw experience, fearlessness, and a reputation that still echoes through the city, while Tariq brings precision, planning, and a mindset built on outsmarting enemies before they even realize a war has begun. Together, they are not just another crew, they are a problem that New York's underworld cannot ignore. But power in this city does not come without resistance. And Power Legacy will show us that the enemies waiting in New York are far more organized and ruthless than anything they faced in Chicago. These are crime lords who do not make emotional moves, who do not fight impulsively, and who are willing to sacrifice entire crews just to protect their throne. That means every move Tommy and Tariq make will trigger a reaction, and every victory will create even more dangerous enemies. What makes this situation even more intense is that trust will be extremely limited. Tariq is entering a space where people still remember Ghost, and not everyone will see him as his own man. Some will want to use him, some will want to test him, and others will want him dead simply because of the name he carries. Tommy, on the other hand, will have to confront the ghosts of his past, old allies who survived, old enemies who never forgot, and streets that remember every mistake he ever made. Power Legacy will explore how these two men navigate a city where information is currency and betrayal happens quietly. This is not a story about brute force alone. It is about strategy, manipulation, and timing. One wrong decision can expose their operation, and one trusted ally can become the reason everything collapses. The reason Power Legacy feels bigger than Force is because the danger is not coming from one side, it is surrounding them from every angle. While they attempt to build control, others will be plotting to tear them down, and the war for New York will not be announced. It will unfold silently.